If you put an S on October, you get Socktober. Why am I like this? Hello and welcome to the Warmness Machine podcast. My name is Lindsay. This is a fiber arts podcast. I am a crocheter, a knitter, and a spinner. Today's episode is a regular podcast episode where I go over what I've finished, what I'm working on, some upcoming projects, and then at the end of every episode, I have a children's book recommendation. So, So if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been here before, hello again. Happy to have you here. I have a cup of coffee and let's get started on my first finished object. So I'm looking down at it. I'm buttoning it up. I was working on, from the last episode, the Hobbit Vest with Pockets by Lisa Chemery, and I have finished it. This is for my daughter. There are a few things that I noticed doing it the second time. I think I'm supposed to have more buttons, but I only put 3 because when I tried to put 4, it wouldn't work, and when I tried to put 5, it didn't look right. So 3 it is. It is made out of a BFL nylon, which is meant for sock yarn. And I think I had not told you that the last time. I dyed this color. I really want to dye it again. I love dyeing yarn. If you don't know anything about me, you can probably tell I'm a little bit of a process person, not even just a knitter, crocheter. Like, I like the process of things. I actually brew my own beer, which I really need to brew a batch. This is the season for it, right? So that's like a 5-hour process with like weeks involved, so like it's fun. And the end result is fun too, but like I'm really into the process. So what I noticed is that I read this and I didn't want to add the 5 buttons. These buttons are from my stash. My daughter loves it. She wears it every day, but I think she loves the idea of getting an item versus wearing it. She's really somebody who runs hot. So I was really happy to make this for her because it allows her to be open and out and in areas, but she's still hot. In the pocket, I used some superwash merino from Naima Bond, which is called Sister Nance yarn. And I forget the colorway. I lost the ticket. However, I could make it again. I could make this vest again. I love this vest. I love making it. It is so intuitive. The thing I love about it most is you're going up and then at some point you split, right? So wherever your needle lands, it's the first thing you do. So if it lands on the rights, this is the right side. If it lands on the right side, you're going to finish the right side. You're going to come across and finish this back. You're going to finish this and you're going to finish that. And you don't have to do a lot of like, oh, what about my needles? What's going on with my needles? You can keep them all on the cable that you worked on and just skip and just go up and then turn and go up. So intuitive. 3 needle bind off at the top. Again, and then I love this color, and it just reminds me of like wheat, like a pink wheat, and then the pocket color is so subtle. She loves it, and it's just in time for her birthday, which is coming up. Can't recommend that pattern enough. So the Hobbit Vest with Pockets by Lisa Chemery, 100% recommend. what am I working on now? Let me grab it. Well, the last time I was here, I was working on the Felix cardigan by Amy Christoffers. And I said I loved it in the last episode. I love it again. And I told you I was going to be able to work through it. I have finished the body. I have finished a sleeve. I am on the second sleeve. Now, I will say this. I'm asking a question. I use DPNs, and I heard all over the knitting world when I first started, DPNs are the worst. Don't look at them. They'll destroy you. You know what I mean? And like, I like DPNs a lot. I learned how to knit socks on DPNs. I prefer knitting socks on DPNs. Magic loop is great if I'm doing like a lace or if I'm doing like a regular vanilla sock. Everything's okay. I don't have an issue with anything, but I really do like DPNs for small circumferences. I just feel like magic loop makes me knit incredibly tight, and I don't want that. So I'm on that's where we started. I've got 3 more of these to go. So what are you working on? How do you do small circumferences? Because I know there are flyers and I know that there's magic loop. I prefer DPNs. And why? Why do you prefer what you work on? I just explained why I prefer DPNs. Because I feel like some of the loudest people in the community are the ones who are maybe the biggest naysayers. Because when I talk to knitters at the library knit night, nobody cares. Everybody's like, who cares about DPNs? I don't have any feeling one way or another. But a lot of people have feelings about yarn weight. And I find that older knitters are like, I prefer to knit with thicker yarn. When I was younger, I knit with, now I'm getting off task. However, that's my real question, because I want to see if I'm onto something. But second thing is that I don't know if that's number 3 or not. I'm not sure. I think I actually have 7 of these to do, and it's just the beginning because I needed to count. But I wasn't doing this before. I wasn't marking my increases. I was just visually looking. And that's because I hate doing this, but I don't anymore because now I have no problems finding things. I used to have to really, really like, okay, there's my decrease. Okay, there's my decrease. And then count up. Now I'm just like, bam, 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 done. Bam, 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 done. So learning new skills. This is so potato chippy, as the people like to say. I'm just working my way through it. It's been 2-3 weeks and I'm already almost done. So yeah, the only thing is on the hem, it calls for a tubular bind off. And when I started doing it, looked it up, looked easy enough. It looked real bad at the bottom. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to let this bottom hem look like the cat's been sucking on it. So I just did a regular pattern bind off. But on the cuff over here, I did do a tubular bind off. And it looks beautiful. So maybe I was just having issues because it was like long. I don't know, but it looks amazing. And I'm loving it. It's very, very scratchy. So I know that when I block it, it will soften up. But even with it being as scratchy as it is, I'm really loving it. I'm really loving this pattern. So I'm probably going to be done with this before the end of October. So in the knitting world, October is often called Socktober. And it is a lovely, lovely time of year because socks are one of the coziest things you can make. I don't know if you know this, but the whole reason I learned how to knit was so that I could knit socks. And just as an aside, I'm looking at my knitting time, and I started knitting in 2019 when the pandemic started, and it's now 2025, and I'm at this point in my knitting where like I can make whatever I want, right? I can almost make whatever I like, and that's fantastic. So now I actually do consider myself an intermediate sock knitter, an intermediate knitter in general. And I do have a sock that I have yet to finish in there. It is the Autumn Mice sock. I'll show it to you. I do this every time. Every time I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna show you. And then I show you. These are all squares for quilting. I'm making a quilt for my son, but I have yet to start it. So hopefully. So I do have my little DPN case that I made with the second sock barely started. But this is the Autumn Mice sock by Charlotte Stone. Stone Knits on Ravelry. I love it. I think it's so cozy. I just have no desire to work on this right now. Maybe when swimming starts, I'll be at the pool with my, waiting on my kids to get finished with their swim lessons. Swimming is a life skill. I used to be a lifeguard. You can tell I'm such a teacher. I'm like, this is a life skill. Such a silly person. So I'm not trying to do that right now. I'm not even close. However, let's talk about what I'm spinning. So I picked up in the year of 2024, September, the Secret Stash from Sweet Georgia Yarns. They actually have a yarn line made out of these fibers. So I'm going to read it to you. The colorway is called Riverfront, and it is 75% untreated blue face Leicester wool, otherwise known as BFL, and then 15% mohair and 10% silk. Do you want to see it? I've already split the braid into 3 sections. This is the colorway. First off, let's talk about how it feels. It feels marvelous. It's the most amazing thing I've put my hands on in a long time. Okay, I love this. It is spinning up so well. I have a little bit extra of it left because there was 111 grams. So I measure my yarn, my fiber before I spin, and then I try to break it off into even sections. So this is 30 grams, a little bob, a little section. That's 90, 3 times 3, 30 times 3, 90. So that's 90 grams for this set of sock yarn. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the other set over there, whatever's left, but I just didn't want to be off in my numbers. I think we all know I'm a little particular. So, but this is what I have left from this spin. My spinning wheel's right here. And I've been just spinning 20 minutes a day. And I got I'm halfway through it. It's so lovely to spin. This is so much fun. I'm so happy about it. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it right here. It says the color story. If you don't know anything about Sweet Georgia yarn, just know that you're dealing with somebody everybody over there is a fiber nerd, right? And I want to buy stuff from other fiber nerds. So when she's talking about why she chose these yarns, I just want to read a little bit of it. This is my ideal combination of fibers, mine too actually. Starting with a base of untreated blue face Leicester. BFL is soft and glossy, elastic and warm. BFL fiber is also strong and more hard wearing than finer wools, I agree. The texture is not springy or spongy, but instead almost sleek. I agree. The next fiber I would add is a soft, fine mohair. That is not a fuzzy mohair, but a smooth and strong mohair. Mohair fiber is very hard wearing, while it is also shiny and takes dye in an amazingly vibrant way. I have to agree because I'm looking at it. Finally, adding silk makes everything beautiful, shimmery, and also strong. Couldn't agree more. So these three fibers, BFL, mohair, and silk, blended together in a 3-ply fingering weight yarn, makes my absolutely favorite blend of fibers, and it works beautifully for socks. And then I was like, I agree to the whole thing because now I'm spinning sock yarn. And when I saw this come out, I'm on the newsletter. When I saw this come out, I was like, I have to. There's no way I can't. So that is what I'm spinning for Socktober instead of knitting for Socktober. So that kind of versatility actually is what I love about being a crafter, is that I don't have to just stick to one thing. I can switch, you know? So yay. So what are some upcoming things that I will be working on? One of them is here. Another one I've talked about. So I'm going to talk about the two, but I'm going to talk about first a little blunder, right? So speaking of Sweet Georgia Yarn, they had a sale, and I think it was last year. I love a sale. You'll find me at the sales. And this is their Superwash DK, and it is in the colorway Cove, Peak, Cove, Peak. I'll put it down below. I love this color. It's a little bit more blue than green, which whatever. This goes with me. So I bought this so that I could, let me just come over here. You see, I have that because it's October. So this book is called Softly Timeless Knits by Sari Nordlund. She is a Finnish knitwear designer. She's from Finland. I'm pretty sure she's from Finland. I don't have time to read this. Yep, Sari Nordlund is one of Finland's most popular knitwear designers, whose creations have graced knitting magazines around the world. That's true. These are all true because I found her through the universe. I picked up this book last year before last, whenever, and I immediately found the Calliope pullover. I'm going to show you a picture. So this is the sweater that I bought this yarn for. I was like, I'm going to look cute. I'm going to look super cute. Well, guess what? Calls for a sport weight yarn or a light DK. I just bought a straight up DK. So I looked at my numbers and I was like, I looked at how much I had and I looked at the gauge and I was like, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. So I'm not allowed to buy any more yarn. I mean, I am. I can buy whatever. I'm an adult. I can buy whatever I want, right? But I have enough. And I'm at the point in my life where I'd rather not be excessive, you know? My kids are looking at me and I don't want them to think that, you know, I just don't want them to feel like everything's limitless, you know? Like, yeah, your dreams are limitless and your hopes but you know, your wants can have a cap. You don't have to have everything that you want, right? And I guess the word is moderation. Yeah. So I want to be a good example to them about that. So when I say like I can't buy any more yarn, it's really because I'm trying to be a good example to my kids. They say that, you know, you can say whatever you want, but your kids are just going to watch what and do whatever you do. So I'm working on it. You know, we're all just works in progress. So I'm not buying any more yarn because I want to be a good example to my kids, but also I have enough. Have enough of everything. I don't need any more. So this is a personal mantra and a mantra of everything else. But I could buy a pattern. So I scoured all my little books. I scoured all my little bought patterns in my little area, and I didn't have a DK weight that I had enough yarn for. I just barely made it. And I know that I've said in almost every episode I have leftover yarn, but I don't like playing yarn chicken. I don't, this is a safe space. My making is safe. It's not stressful. So I don't want to go into something, you know, thinking, oh, I might not have enough yarn. I always want to have enough yarn, and I always like to gauge swatch. So I bought a pattern. And then I got so excited about it that I did a gauge swatch. This is a gauge swatch, which is still wet because I did it last night, for the Ballard tee, also by Sari Nordlund. I love her designs. I knit this last night. It is a cable pattern, and it is so sleek, and it also comes in a pullover design. So there's a tee and there's a pullover design, and I didn't want to make the pullover because, again, I don't know if I had enough yarn. So here we are. I have enough yarn for this, and I am going to start this as soon as I finish what I'm working on right now. And that's why that's there, waiting on me so very nicely. The other pattern that I am making is the Monica Gellar tee, also by Sari Nordlund. So you're seeing a theme, right? So the real interesting thing is that I've had that pattern for years, and I bought it when I was a very new knitter, and I thought, I'm gonna make it. The last episode I had to frog it because I was on too small of a needle. And I actually just went with the needle that's called for in the pattern. So I undid it, wound it around itself because everything was already in a knot. Because I put knots in my knitting when I have yet to figure out how to knot, how to N-O-T, not K-N-O-T, I don't know how to add yarn to my knitting without making a knot. Sorry. And I'm a crocheter, so I prefer a knot, if I'm going to be honest with you. I prefer a knot because with all them squiggles in crochet. But I'll be starting this. Now, I was almost done with this the last time I started it. So I'm really excited to start it. And I will have two projects going. One that's cables, one that's just straight stockinette, and they're both short sleeve, and they both have a good amount of ease. And but this is a fingering weight yarn project, and that's a DK weight yarn project. So either way, I'm excited. This calls for a US 4 needle, and that called for a US 4 needle. And I used the US 4 needle on that, and I got gauge. So maybe my knitting is changing. Isn't that cool? So that's what I'll be working on in the coming months and finishing, and yeah. Okay, so the book that I'm recommending is not a library book. We just purchased this book straight up because we have other books by this author. No, we have a book by the illustrator. I love the illustrator. I forget the name of the book, but I Want My Hat Back. That's what I think the book is called. I Want My Hat Back by Klassen. let me go get that book. You're getting a twofer. You're getting a twofer. This book, I Want My Hat Back, is by John Klassen. Okay, he is also the illustrator. This is a book that it looks so worn. It's a book that my husband bought for himself before we even had our son. And he just liked it. But I mean, that's a good sign, right? Always, if a guy you're dating has children's books just because he likes them, that's a good sign. But I also had children's books, but I was a teacher. So he goes around asking for his hat. It's funny. It's for older children. It's not for the little kids. I wouldn't read this. I mean, I have read this to my daughter, and my son loved it when he was little, but at one point, he finds his hat. You stole my hat. It's funny. It is funny. But anyway, this book that I am also recommending is by Mac Barnett, illustrated by John Klassen, and it is called Extra Yarn. Extra Yarn. Now this book, I don't think I've ever recommended this book. I try to keep a list, but we read this book all the time. This book is about a woman. No, it isn't. It's a girl. I'll read the first page. On a cold afternoon in a cold town where everywhere you looked it was either the white of snow or the black of soot from chimneys, Annabelle found a box filled with yarn of every color. So she went home and knit herself a sweater. And when Annabelle was done, she had some extra yarn. So she knit a sweater for Mars too. But there was still extra yarn. So it's a book about abundance. I like to think of it because it's a mindset, right? You know, you don't have what other people have. You have what you need, what's good for you. So yeah, the kids love this book. And we read it all the time. And then my son and my husband love this book and read it all the time. So now you get two. I would definitely suggest going to your local library and picking up I Want My Hat Back by John Klassen or Extra Yarn by Mac Barnett, illustrated by John Klassen. I don't want to tell you anything else about the book. I already told you about the I Want My Hat Back book. But I don't want to give anything away in Extra Yarn. So, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. I hope it was fun. I like coming here a little bit quicker than the last time because then I get to remember all the details of what I'm doing. So I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully in the next one, it will be close to October 31st and I will read you a scary story. So I'll see you next time. Bye.